Okay, so welcome everyone to what is this? Friday meditation, our first Friday meditation at our new time, and welcoming some new friends, especially our new friends in Europe. It's just really great to have this miraculous technology to be able to do this. It's just fantastic. Um, so, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, um, um, especially if you're not familiar with, if you haven't read any of my books or watched any of my meditations online, what we're doing here is what we call natural meditation. And it's really, it, this practice exists in many time honored traditions, um, where it goes by various names, some of them in Tibetan or in Sanskrit or languages like that. But, we speak plain American around here. We call it natural meditation. And it's, um, in many ways, it's the opposite of what people often think when they hear that word meditation. They often, sometimes it's kind of there are unexamined assumptions that we may have that, oh, meditation means I'm supposed to concentrate, or I'm supposed to try to clear my mind, I'm supposed to feel a special way, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. And mostly what they're thinking of is a lot of unnatural things. So that ain't it. That's not what we're doing here. What we're going to be doing here is just way simpler and way easier than any of that. So the easiest way to approach this is just throw away all your assumptions for now. Just put them outside the door, and um, don't do anything I don't tell you to do. Okay. So if you're thinking, wait, am I supposed to be, I read somewhere in a book I'm supposed to breathe like, if I don't say breathe like that, just forget about trying to breathe like that, and so forth. Okay. So writing it up on that basis, let's start by just sitting up comfortably. And at any time during the session, if your position becomes uncomfortable, change it. So right there's an unexamined assumption that a lot of people have. Oh, meditation means I have to sit stock still. Oh my God, this is meditation. My nose started itching in the first minute. I'm going to have to sit here and be tortured by an itchy nose for the next 19 minutes. No. Um, and again, just by the way, I'm not making this stuff up. I've sat in long sessions with Tibetan lamas who, they're conducting meditation. They have a drink of water. They blow their nose. It's called natural meditation for humans. Okay, so let's sit up comfortably and let me check out your body a little bit. Kind of scan it a little from the inside and see. Oh, are there places where I want to move around? Are there parts that want to be twisted or stretched? Maybe, but does my head want to roll on my neck one way or the other way? Just feel out what your body wants. I only know I only know what my body wants. And now settle back in the seat. Let's take a long, slow, deep breath, completely filling up with air, spreading your ribs, just like filling the tank. And as you do that, pull your shoulders up toward your ears, as high as they'll comfortably go. So then hold that. You're filled up with air. Your shoulders are up there trying to stick in your ears. Then open your mouth and all at once drop the shoulders and let out a deep sigh. Deep audible sigh. Make a lot of noise. Don't be shy. Okay, so let's do that again. So breathing in through the nose if you can. Filling up with air, pulling the shoulders up till you're completely full, and just for a few moments sitting there with the shoulders up, the whole tank full of air, and then all of a sudden, just in one moment, drop the shoulders and let out the sigh. And let's do that again. Okay, good. Now we can just forget about the breath. Let the breath take care of itself. Let the breath be however it is. And in fact, let everything take care of itself. Let everything be however it is. Naturally, sounds are there. The sound of this voice, maybe other sounds from the road or from inside the house, wherever you are. Naturally, bodily sensations may be there, feelings of tightness or looseness here or there, or coolness or warmth. Not that we're particularly looking for any of it. We're not actively trying to find any of this. These are some of the things we may happen to notice. Even with the eyes closed, there may be some sense of light or color changing, subtly dancing behind the eyelids. And maybe not. So whatever's there, whatever presents itself, we just let it take care of itself. We're just really, that's those sighs that we let out kind of summarize the whole spirit of what we're doing. Just settle back, letting everything be exactly how it is. We're on vacation. For once, we're not running things. We're not in charge of anything. We're not in control of anything. Can you decide what will be the next sound you hear? No. Can you decide what will be the next thought that shows up? No. So we just know that clearly and know we're completely off the hook. We don't try to run things because we can't. We just flop back into we could say, into the hammock of present awareness, natural awareness, leaving everything just as it is, as it naturally changes from moment to moment. And just as sounds come and go, sensations come and go, naturally thoughts come and go. Perhaps feelings come and go. Could be feelings of excitement or boredom, happiness, sadness, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what thoughts or what feelings present themselves, it's whatever's there. Just as it doesn't matter whether a truck rolls past your house or a motorcycle goes past, it's whatever it is. We just let it all come. We let what comes come, let what goes go. Even to say we let it is a little bit arrogant. It's going to happen whether we let it or not. So we're totally on vacation, totally happily unemployed. Not trying to concentrate, not trying to control the mind, not trying to exclude one thing or favor another thing. Those are all projects, and for once we just give up all our projects and just relax back into this place of freedom from all projects. As the thoughts and the feelings, the sounds, everything else come and go, they're sort of like different breezes, different kinds of weather coming and going in the open space that we call the sky. We call it the sky, but it's really just an open space where atmosphere and weather, all those things can happen. And the sky has no preferences. The sky is just open space within which breezes can blow in from the east or from the west. We can have hailstorms, we can have rainbows. None of it harms the sky, and none of it improves the sky. The sky is just open space that has room for all of it. So, in the same way, all the thoughts and sounds, everything else come and go within our awareness. So, we can notice that awareness is sky like, it's like open space. We can be aware of different sounds, but awareness itself, the space within which we're aware of the sounds, has no sound, it's silent. We can be aware of different colors and textures, But the awareness itself, like space, has no texture, no color. All the things we're aware of are finite. They have boundaries, edges. But you may notice that this awareness, like space, has no edge, no boundaries. It's boundless. Everything that passes through our awareness has qualities. Awareness has no qualities. It's like nothing. Just this boundless, silent, invisible space of aware nothingness, aware openness, within which everything else, all experience, comes and goes frictionlessly, without affecting the space of awareness in any way. So there's nothing for us to do but relax back into this space-like awareness, which is the one thing that never changes. There's nothing to change. It's the space within which all change happens. It's where all experience has been happening since the moment we were born. So we don't try to create it. We can't get rid of it. Only for once, we notice it and relax back into it. When we say notice it, that could sound like something other than us, the noticer. But of course, this is what we call I, the awareness, the one that's aware of things. So we just relax back into this open, boundless space of awareness, or we can say, relax back into yourself. Same thing. We never have to look for it, always right here, because it's what, at the core, at essence, what you are. Always right here. If we go around looking for this boundless awareness, it's like a wave saying, where's that ocean I've been hearing about? The wave is the ocean. Just relax back into itself. There it is, right here. as the thoughts come and go and the feelings come and go, we continue to rest as this sky-like open awareness, letting the thoughts and feelings and everything else come and go. Occasionally, or sometimes more than occasionally, it might happen that something in the phenomena that are coming and go seems to grab you. You seem to get engaged with it. Maybe you latch on to this thought, trying to figure out how to write that email that's been a problem, or you find yourself trying to complete your shopping list, or resisting this feeling or favoring that feeling. And that's natural. That happens to everyone. But when you realize you're engaging with something, just relax your grip on it. That's all. Don't try to get rid of it, because trying to get rid of it is a sneaky way to keep engaging with it. Just relax your grip and relax back into yourself. Relax back into this sky-like silent awareness. Then it doesn't matter whether the thing you were engaging with continues to be there or not. Just relax your grip and it becomes one more thing passing, coming and going. Now keep the eyes closed and take a few minutes to just gently start bringing the body back to a more active state. Just kind of stirring in your seat, maybe shifting your position, maybe stretching your limbs, twisting your trunk. Just whatever feels good to do to wake the body back up again. Sometimes it feels good to squeeze your face or massage your scalp a little bit or squeeze your hands together, kind of get the blood circulating again. Because the body has been settled down into a less active state, a hypometabolic state. I'm going to bring it back gently. And then when you feel ready, slowly open the eyes. You take your time. Okay, how's everybody doing? Everybody good? Good, good. And I want to particularly check in with the people that are sitting with us for the first time. Um, you get the simplicity of what we're doing here. Yeah, yeah. If you got the simplicity, you got the thing. Kind of nothing to it. Um, again, we're not concentrating, we're not trying to control anything, not including or excluding anything. It's really not, I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? We start with usually some kind of little bit of doing, in which can vary from session to session. This time we started with breathing in and pulling the shoulders up and sighing. And if you come back for more sessions, you'll see we vary that. That's what I call the on ramp. Or is it, in some countries, I found out in some countries they don't understand this term on ramp. They say the slip road, um, and and that's the uh, just a little something to a little some light activity to transition from running around through our whole life being busy doing 1,000 things to doing in the so-called meditation doing essentially nothing. So to go from 1,000 things to 0 things is a little abrupt. So usually we transition by going from 1,000 things to one thing to 0 things. So the one thing could be this, or sometimes we might um, intone something with our voice, or gaze at something, doing something with our breathing. Well, okay, can be in principle could be just about anything. But the thing about the on ramp is don't get stuck on the on ramp. You know, just there are people for whom the breathing and doing this with the breathing that becomes that becomes the whole practice for years. Um, the my understanding, what I find works for me, seems to work for people that I share this stuff with, is get into the express lane as soon as possible. Right? And the express lane is the lane of essentially not doing anything, just being. Just notice, oh, we're aware, right? Is everyone aware right now? Are you aware? Um, and and there's nothing special about being aware. It's not like, okay, now I close my eyes, now I sit properly, I'm in meditation, now I'm aware, right? Like as if it's got a capital A or something, right? Awareness is the simplest, most everyday, really every moment thing there is. Try to not be aware right now. Try to not be aware. Right? We can't do it. We can't do it. So do we have to do anything to be aware? We have to make some effort to grit our teeth and concentrate to be aware? No, we can't get rid of being aware. So we just relax instead of trying to move forward into I got to be aware. We relax back into that pre-existing, always pre-existing condition of awareness. Um, and and then just let everything come and go within that awareness as it comes and goes. When again, as I said in the meditation, when we sometimes, and sometimes of course this happens, we find ourselves engaging in something, either engaging in trying to figure something out, or hash out some scenario, or resist something that's going on, resisting the sound of the garbage truck or whatever it is. When we realize we're engaged in the thing, fine, just relax your grip on that. I used to say let go. You hear in the meditation world, spiritual world, you hear that phrase let go a lot. I've stopped using that phrase. It's essentially correct, but people misunderstand it. They hear let go and they think, oh, the thing is supposed to go away, right? And then you hear people say, well, I'm trying to let go, but I trying to let go, but it's the thing's still there. Well, that's not letting go. That's holding on to the insistence that it's supposed to go away. Um, Whatever. Someone's got some occasional sweeping sound going on in there. If you would mute yourself, that would be whoever that is, please. Um, so I don't even say let go anymore. I just say relax your grip on the thing, whatever the thing is. Okay, just relax your grip and relax back into this sky-like awareness. And then the thing you were engaging with just becomes one more of those many things. Um, and then coming out, we always want to come out, take a few minutes to come out slowly, not just pop out, because although we're not trying to settle down, I mean, that's a contradiction in terms. How do you try to settle down? The trying is itself would be unsettling. That's why you hear, oh, meditation's really hard. Trying to make the mind settled. Of course, trying to make the mind settled, that's a contradiction in terms. It's like, oh, there's all these choppy waves on the surface of the ocean. I got to take my paddle and flatten out all the waves. Of course, that just stirs up more turbulent water. All right? So what we do instead, and this is the great blessing, this is the key thing that I've been so fortunate to learn from my teachers, and that I'm so happy I get to share with other people. The key thing is don't try to flatten out the waves. Just relax in this ocean of awareness, and very naturally, gravity takes over. You start to sink, and you discover that, oh, a couple of feet below the surface of the waves, the ocean is always silent. We don't have to make the water silent. The ocean is silent underneath those waves all the time. before we got there, before we ever thought of meditating or anything. That's essentially our minds are active, our minds are noisy. Fine, that's what it's supposed to be. Just like our eyes are supposed to see colors, and our ears are supposed to hear sounds, and our mind is supposed to think thoughts. But awareness is different from mind. Awareness is that which underlies and includes mind and the senses and everything else. And awareness is like sky. It's silent. It's invisible. It's nothing. Only it's aware. It's aware nothing. And there's, again, words for this in Sanskrit, Satchidananda. Some of you are familiar with phrases like that. Or in Tibetan, Rigpa. Essentially, they mean it's awareness, it's nothing, it has no qualities, non-phenomenal, non-changing, but not dead, not inert. It's aware, it's awareness. And that Sat Chit, being, awareness, and the third part, Ananda, bliss. As my old teacher Maharishi Mahesh Yogi said once, it's just nothing, but there's something very good about it. Right? There's something, and that's why gravity, that's why we sink naturally. That's why gravity takes over. What our minds are always, what we're always trying to gravitate toward is more happiness, more fulfillment, more security, more safety, more feeling, I'm home. Nothing else needs to be done. And we're always looking for home. We're always looking for, will I find my home in this, Veronica, in your case, right, in this house, in this building? Will I find my home, intellectually in this, with this author? Will I find my home emotionally with this partner, this family, whatever? And that's all great on its level. But at the deepest level, we never feel completely at home until we sink into, that which is like the home of all the homes, the beingness, the awareness, the boundlessness. Right? Because all those other homes are, they're all subject to loss, right? You can feel, we're talking at the beginning of, how much I'm enjoying my little Santa Monica beach bungalow here. But, the big one could happen tomorrow or today. The tsunami can wash this away. I hope not. I really like this joint. But some form of that, eventually everything goes away. Eventually, today you're having a good hair day, tomorrow you're bald. Right? Today you're employee of the month, tomorrow you're fired. Today you're wearing your favorite shirt, tomorrow it's a dust rag. And that's why all the great teachers, all the the Buddhas, the Christs, the Lao Tzus, the Socrates, they all urge us, find that which does not change, find that which is the home of all the homes. Right? In the Gospels, Jesus says, don't lay up your treasure where where the rust can corrupt and the thieves can break in and steal it away. So that's what we naturally are attracted to, what we, in every moment, for people who never meditate in their lives, that's what they're looking for in every moment. We're set up that way. It's like, heat-seeking missiles. We're bliss-seeking organisms. We're nirvana-seeking organisms. That's what you're looking for every time your finger goes down the menu. What should I order for dinner? What you want is nirvana. It's not on the menu. So you take the nearest substitute you can find in that moment. Right. So what happens in meditation is, for once we get to eliminate the middle object, we go straight to the beingness itself. And sometimes the experience is very clear. Sometimes it's, oh yeah, this is bliss. Don't ring the bell. I don't want to come out. Right? I don't want to. And a lot of the time, for most of us, most of the time, it's not so clear. It's just some settling down, felt kind, and did I settle? I'm not even sure sometimes if I settle down. Fine, that's perfect. Because it's not all about just having some momentary little flash of nirvana. What it's about is as the mind and body settle into that wakeful hypometabolic state where the body really settles down much as it does in sleep, yet the mind is awake so we can experience silence. We can settle into our boundless self. The more time we spend just marinating, hanging out in that place or just even in that vicinity, the more the nervous system becomes acclimated to consciously reflecting that experience of silent boundlessness, more and more that we tune into that. We naturally find that as we're walking around the other 23 and a half hours of the day. And that's really what this is for. And that happens to everyone. That happens to everyone who practices like this. That's the only guarantee I'll make you. You know, your physical health might show some improvements. I've had some good experiences with that. I've seen some people have experience with that, but maybe not. You know, your relationship might get smoother. That happens a whole lot. You know, when I first started doing this stuff, I started going to these weekend meditation retreats, and after the fourth or fifth one, my girlfriend at the time said, "You know, every time you come back from one of these weekends, you're a little nicer." I said, "Really? I hadn't noticed, but fine, I'll take your word for it." So that tends to happen, but who knows? There's no guarantees on any of that. There's no guarantees on the specifics of how this will manifest. But the one thing that is guaranteed is you keep doing the practice, you keep marinating, relaxing back into the boundlessness of yourself, of what you are in essence. It cannot help but move from the more and more from the background of all your walking around experience, where it's always been, more and more, just gradually, in a very natural, incremental way, it moves into the foreground. And that's fancy words like enlightenment, nirvana, moksha, liberation, and so forth. In our session on Thursday, Peter brought up the Tibetan term Dzogchen, the natural great perfection of life. All these different terms. And they're great in that they make us, they alert us to the fact that, there really is this wonderful way to live life. Everything in the spiritual life is a double-edged sword. So the double edge there is also can sound like, that's some fancy, exotic, unapproachable thing. So we have to be reminded that it's the most natural thing in the world. And it sneaks up on us in a very natural way, very incremental way. What I sometimes recommend to people if they say, "Gee, I've been doing this practice for a while and I'm not sure if I'm really getting any concrete, any good results," I say, listen, go into a diner. Out here in LA, we don't have diners, but when I lived in New Jersey, everyone knows about diners, right? So I'd say, okay, here's what you do. Go into a diner by yourself without any friends. Order a piece of pie and a cup of coffee and just sit there and eavesdrop on the conversations coming from the other booths around you, right? And then and listen to where people are coming from. Listen to the quality in their voices. Listen to the level of worry and concern and the way they get caught up in their situations. You can still have situations in your life, but listen to the way they're caught up, and you realize, I used to be like that, and I'm not now, or I'm less than I used to be. That caught upness has eased up, right? And that's the growth into enlightenment. That's the growth into meditation. If we can extrapolate that all the way kind of to the nth degree, that's what the Buddha was living. It was not something mysterious or weird, some big cosmic banana split with a cherry on top. It was something much better than that, something much more profound than that. So it's really good to practice regularly. It's really good to sit down every day. It's good to sit, if possible, it's good to sit around the same time, Not that it matters absolutely, but just if you do that, make it part of your routine, like brushing your teeth. We don't think about, oh, when will I brush my teeth today? When will I get around to it? And then maybe you do, maybe you don't. You build it into your schedule. So it's good to meditate. You just build the meditation into your schedule. You just do it without thinking much about it. And sometimes you come out and you feel, oh my God, this is bliss. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Buddha. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, right? And sometimes you think, oh, I don't know, maybe just wasted 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Fine, doesn't matter. It's a long-term thing. Oh, and 15 minutes, 20 minutes, even 10 minutes, 5 minutes, even, you'll, one of the things that you'll hear is, oh, to get any results, you got to meditate, for at least an hour a day or at least 2 hours a day. Um, that thing, and you hear that thing a lot because that's based on people doing unnatural forms of meditation, working hard, concentrating, doing that self-contradictory, that self-defeating thing of trying to flatten out all the waves, right? And it takes an hour or two, absolutely, to, finally, it's what actually happens, I think, is that it's so exhausting trying to flatten out all the waves, trying to concentrate, trying to push away all your thoughts, that finally you get mentally too exhausted to do it, and then you finally settle in. Not because of all that effort, but in spite of it. And then you come out and yes, and you settle into that same place. And you come out and you go, okay, it's taken me an hour a day and it's really a lot of work, but man, it's worth it. Right. So what we would do is we just skip that part. we go straight to the settling in part. So, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. In fact, what I generally recommend, throw away the timepiece. Don't have the timepiece in the watch or the clock in your meditation space, because then there's a tendency to go, okay, I'm up to 17 minutes, 3 more, and then you start subtly working at it. If you notice, if you happen to glance at the clock before you sit down, then you come out and you notice, oh, every time you thought it was, 15, 20 minutes and it was 3 minutes, then, spend a little longer. And also, if you hit a part, and this is very, very common, where you're feeling actually restless and, just kind of more restless and more antsy and the mind churning more than it was before. And you think, oh, this isn't working. I'm wasting my time. I'll get up. No. It's working. Because what's happening there is that as a result of the deep settling down, now old stresses, the old kind of neurological footprints of our old stresses and traumas that have been stored in the nervous system are starting to unwind. This is part of the reason why we practice. As that stuff unwinds, it tends to express as mental turbulence or emotional turbulence of one form or another. So you might think, wait, I felt fine before I sat down. Now I'm feeling anxiety. Yeah, that's fine. That's anxiety on the way out. Nothing new has happened to introduce new anxiety. It's the old stuff. You're getting your radiator flushed. Right? So it's important to understand that something good is happening. You might not feel that great at the time. And sometimes it's even physical turbulence. You may find your body jumps or your spine twitches or something like that, or some sudden change in your breathing. This is all classic stuff. And just know that that's all fine. So when that happens, don't say, oh, this isn't working, I'm going to get up now. No, definitely a good time to stay with it. And stay with it until after that settles down, that gets a chance, whatever is working out, to work out. And you're not going to know what it is most of the time. If it's the old stress from, when you were 5 years old and the pit bull chased you down the sidewalk, usually you won't have a memory come up of the pit bull. Sometimes you will, but a lot of the time you won't. So we don't try to analyze, oh, what is it that the nervous system's eliminating? That's like sitting in the bathtub and going, okay, this bit of dirt that's floating off of me is from the garden, and this bit is from we just let it go down the drain. Okay? this is more than I usually talk about all this stuff, but when we have people for the first time, I just want to really make sure everyone is solid on this stuff. Any questions or comments from anyone on the meditation today or on any of this? Yeah, Tejas?
Um, I have a question about feeling sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
And I found when I meditate um, for extended periods of time that eventually I'll get to this place where I'm just nodding off or feeling this just it's not a comfortable sleepiness because I have issues with sleep. So it's not like, for me, sleepiness isn't like, oh, I'm just gonna fall asleep. It's like now I have to deal with this thing that I want to do later at night and not right now. And so uh, I guess I wanted to ask, do
Mm-hmm.
you have any general tips about that?
Yeah. First, let me ask you: when you say when you meditate for extended periods of time, what kind of periods are you talking about?
Like half an hour,
Mm-hmm.
maybe longer.
Mm-hmm.
I generally don't try to force myself, um,
Good.
but I am in a weird place, I think, with a, 'cause I suppose I feel like somewhat directionless in my current place in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I see meditation as a sort of, well, if there's nothing else to do, why not just sit? And I suppose there is some, like, oh, it's good for me or something thoughts there. But that's also kind of a part of feeling directionless because I'm not really sure what to do with my time.
Mm-hmm.
So I do kind of use, admittedly, meditation as this kind of little golden child or something that's,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but in any case,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay, so a couple of things.
Yeah.
First thing, so yeah, it sounds like to some degree right now the circumstances of your life have put you on a sort of um, unplanned meditation retreat,
Yes.
and that's great. That's great. And actually, I mean, I have a lot of admiration for the fact that you recognized rather than be in this in between place, which I know I do sometimes myself, is like, okay, there's not really, like, okay, I just finished writing. This is actually my situation right now. I just finished writing this book I've been working on for a year and a half. Now I've been waiting for 4 weeks for the editors to send his notes back. I don't really have a project. So I kind of sit, I kind of screw around and let me check the news again, and but and then now it's now it's time for dinner.
Yeah.
But instead of just kind of in being in between, recognize there's nothing to do. Great, let me embrace that. Let me do nothing profoundly. Doing nothing profoundly is what we call meditation, rather than doing nothing in some kind of shallow way. So that's great. Having said that, there's also this common sense thing, which I'm assuming you're cognizing, which is okay. That also might make sense at this point in your life. There's a certain amount of the day that you might need to be devoting to, okay, what's going to be the next stage? Should I be looking to go to this school or train for this
Hmm.
job or start this project, whatever it might be? So as with everything, some sense of balance, some sense of moderation with that. So that's all
Yes.
good. Okay. Now, as far as the sleep is concerned, um, when sleep comes in meditation, it's good. It's good. I really want you to hear this, Tejas. When you said, "Oh, it's uncomfortable sleep," no, it's not. You had
Mm.
just have an uncomfortable attitude about it, right? This idea, oh no, sleep is supposed to happen later, or blah, 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 or yeah,
Mm.
no. Sleep is a neurophysiological state that our nervous system craves. When it comes, it's because your nervous system wants it. Don't tie yourself up in knots about it. Go,
Mm.
hallelujah. It's my favorite thing in the world. just about is falling asleep in meditation. I just,
Mhm.
oh, thank God, right? It's especially when I'm traveling. You know, I used to travel pre-pandemic, and do workshops and things, and I'd get jet lagged, and I'd be meditating on the plane and start nodding out. Oh my God, great! Just so always welcome sleep in meditation.
Mhm.
Now, having said that, um, um, there are a couple things you may want to look at. If you, especially if you're falling asleep a lot in meditation, are you getting enough sleep at night? Right? If you have, as you do, say you do, you have sleep issues, maybe that's going to happen. Um, maybe even though you're being conscientious, doing all the right things to do to sleep well at night, sometimes it's interrupted. I'm very familiar with that. I've got insomniac DNA from both sides of the family.
Mhm.
Um, uh, so fine. Sometimes in meditation, Mother Nature, in her great mercy, is going to help you compensate for that sleep. And there seems to be a phenomenon that the sleep that happens in meditation is very kind of profoundly healing. Evidently, because it's launched from that deeper level of relaxation and just letting be.
Mhm.
And it does sometimes seem subjectively. I don't know if neurologically this can be measured, but subjectively it does seem like, if I nod out for, if I miss a couple hours of sleep in the night and then I nod out in for something 10 minutes in the middle of meditation, it seems to heal that,
Mhm.
seems to clear that up. So,
May
yeah.
I, slight interjection that for me it's like I'll feel sleepy and I'll be nodding off, but if I then lay down, I won't fall asleep. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's where my frustration kind of comes in,
Yep.
is that, and I have, it's not just, I mean, I call it sleep issues, but this has been ongoing for 5 years where I don't feel rested
Mm-hmm.
after sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very, it's like a jumble. It's a real tangle in my life that I'm
Yep.
living with, let's say. Uh, and so that's where I guess the question kind of, because I know, like, get get the full sleep, then you won't feel sleepy during meditation, or
Yep.
but for me it's a little more frustrating than that.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me ask you this: Are
yeah.
you do you get regular physical activity?
I go for walks. I do a short yoga before bed,
Mm-hmm.
just some stretching. Um, it's like I said, it's a real jumble. It's you know how you
Right.
feel tired, so then you don't want to do
Do you,
anything, and yeah.
do you walk every day?
Generally, yes. I haven't in the past couple days, but
Uh huh.
generally, yes.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Okay. I would suggest you really walk every day
Yeah.
and walk vigorously.
Hmm.
Okay. Pump the arms. Uh, Pump the arms. Breathe. Um, uh, you're so much like me, Tejas,
I know.
in a lot of ways. An Ayurvedic physician would be going, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of vata going on here, a lot of
Yeah.
air element, right?" So I'm
Yeah.
I'm so familiar with this style of functioning, and and like you, I mean, you know, all these people I know that are going to the gym. That's great if they're, that's more, pitta fire constitutions
Hmm.
and kapha earth constitutions. Us air people, we're not going to go to the gym, so let's forget about that. But it is important, and it is easy for us air element type people to get stuck in our heads and to discover you've been sitting in the house for 3 days thinking about stuff and you haven't gotten outside to walk around in nature.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't hide from me, Tejas. I'm
Mhm.
because I'm you too. So this is so and I know how important that is for me, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be important for you too. So get out. If walking's your activity, get out there, do it every day, rain or shine. If it's you're on the East Coast, it's raining and snowing too much, then put on music and dance. Okay, vigorously, till you're breathing hard.
Okay.
Um, and dancing's fun. That also highly recommended. So I would say do that, and I think that'll help a lot of things. That'll help.
Yeah, fair
Uh,
enough.
you know, one of my books, I think it's the last one, Fear. I think it's Fear Less or the one
Mhm.
before. I've got a whole chapter on walking because walking is that important. Um, and the thing about walking is that it's I forget the term now. Cross lateral. It's a cross lateral activity. When your right arm swings forward with your left foot. Your left arm swings forward with your right foot, and
Mhm.
that rhythm of that is very um, soothing and settling. What it's doing is it's synchronizing the two cerebral hemispheres of the brain, supposedly. Um, and you can even do a thing like if you're working a lot, you're writing on a writing project, or you're studying, you're reading, all that. You've really gotten, and it's late at night or the weather's bad. You're not going to walk outside. You can do this very vigorous version of walking in place, where you deliberately swing your arms across the midline, and
Mhm.
that and raise your knees up high, and you'll get your pulse pounding very quickly that way, and it's very very good at coordinating, synchronizing, harmonizing the
Mhm.
cerebral hemispheres, which supposedly that means the analytic part and the intuitive part, getting them more in sync, more settled.
Mhm.
A lot of the great creative geniuses, the writers, um, Thoreau, who is one of my great heroes, he could not write unless he had walked, and he like
Mhm.
the amount of writing he was able to do each day was like directly correlated with how much he had walked that day.
Mhm.
So
If only we could all be Balzac.
if yeah, right, right. If only. Um,
That
so
resonates, and
yeah,
I appreciate the reminder.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, and I'd say just for everyone in general, the thing of the most generally applicable thing here is if sleep comes in meditation, don't fight it. Accept that blessing. And it's not just me saying this. There's somewhere where the Dalai Lama said, and I quote, "Sleep is the best form of meditation." Okay, um,
Amen.
yeah, amen. And But now, if you find yourself falling asleep a lot, as I say, maybe take a look at your physical activity, your sleep at night, also the time of day that you're meditating. A lot of people, if they meditate right after a big meal, the whole experience is kind of drowsy. So it might be better to meditate before eating or a different time of day. Some people are, for a lot of people, kind of the if it works in your schedule in the morning when you first get up is really a good time to practice. Some people like to feel very, really works nicely for them practicing just before bed. A lot of people just before bed, it's going to be too drowsy, or it actually wakes them up too much and interferes with their sleep. So you find out what's good for you. Okay? Okay, good. So, anyone else with any questions or comments today? Yeah, Veronica, please. You have to unmute yourself.
There. I
Yeah.
think you can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay. I was just thinking it must happen to other people, but probably. But there are two things that happen before I meditate or I'm settling into trying to meditate, and then sometimes during.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both future based. One is I'll get ideas
Mm-hmm.
that are really good ideas that are creative or project oriented. And so I'll have to go and write them down before I forget. The other thing that happens is a little bit more overwhelming is just plain old fear of something in the news, fear of growing old, fear. And that is a little bit more permeating and solid in a way and more of an obstacle to settling into a meditation. So I'm wondering, I know you said to work through it, but I'm sure
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay, so first let me just tweak a couple of words in the vocabulary and what you just expressed, because words are important because a lot of unexamined assumptions hide in the words that we use. So you just said, so I said just work through it. Okay,
Uh,
so that's not my vocabulary. I
right.
will never tell you to work through something. Okay, I just want to it's subtle,
Yeah.
but when we use that word work through, it sounds like, okay, there's some active part of the
Yeah.
process that I've got to grind my way
Yeah.
through this stuff. No, not the,
Right.
that in other realms, you go to see your therapist and we're going to work through this
Right.
thing or talk through this thing. There's a place for that. There's a place for you're working on this project. You got to work through the thing. Meditation, we don't freaking work through anything. We be through it. We don't work at anything. We don't do anything. It's not doing, it's being. The stuff is there. The stuff happens. This may very well be what you had in mind with the words that you used, but I want to be very careful because there's
Yeah.
other people here as well,
Yeah.
right? And even for ourselves, if you use that word work, there's some subtle degree that's bringing in that old assumption that no, we're letting it take care of itself. It's going to be there. Say, okay, fine. The fear is there.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Okay. So fear. Hello, fear. Right. Let me ask you this. I was with my 5-year-old grandson a couple of weeks ago, and he said, and every parent has heard this so many times, I'm bored. I said, okay, Fox, you're bored. How do you know you're bored?
Right.
And he gave me the most baffled look. It was great. I said, I'm not saying you're not bored, but I'm saying, how is it that you know that you're bored? Right? And often usually a person will respond, well, because there's nothing to do, there's nothing going on. But aren't there times when there's nothing to do or nothing going on, and our experience is not boredom, it's like, great, nothing to do, nothing going on. So this causes us to look more closely at what is my actual experience. The key in all this stuff is what is my actual experience, not just my concept of it. My actual experience, I think if you take a look, you'll see, boredom is a feeling. We call these feelings because
Right.
they feel a certain way in the body. And the same thing with fear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, often these feelings are closely associated with a cluster of thoughts. Right? The cluster of thoughts may be, there's nothing to do, blah, 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 and therefore I'm bored. So there's the cluster of thoughts, there's the feeling. But again, sometimes we'll have that those thoughts, there's nothing to do without that feeling. Right? So they're
Right.
separate things. So again, seeing clearly what your actual experience is. In the same way, okay, this thing in the world situation, this thing about my personal
Right.
situation, blah, blah, blah. And then here's the feeling fear. So the first thing is identify, is there actually the feeling of fear going on right now? Or is it sometimes it's just the thoughts, but we're so used to, but part of the thought is, I have fear,
Right.
right? So sometimes it's not really the feeling, it's the thought about the feeling.
It's the thought. Yeah, for sure.
Right, right. So good. What you've just done is very, very important, which is a clear recognition of what's going on. Oh, what's going on? It's a thought. Now, what we do in meditation, and this is unique, in a way we say meditation is doing nothing. Why do we bother to do nothing? Well, because we're not doing the stuff that we do the other 23 hours of the day, which is the stuff that keeps us stuck in bondage. Right? So the other 23 hours of the day, there's that thought, blah, 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 and it's important. It matters. During the time of meditation, we treat all thoughts equally. Treat them all. You know, I'm sure with all the traveling you've done, you've experienced being in an airport and hearing people speak languages that you don't speak,
Right.
right? And sometimes you can't even tell what language it is,
Right.
perhaps. Okay? So what you do is treat all your thoughts as if they're in some language that you don't speak. It's just some blah blah blah. I don't even like to say blah 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 because that sounds negative, like it shouldn't be there. No, it's some yeah da 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 da. It's some right, lovely, delightful. It's some. Let's not even say noise. It's some sound. You know, thoughts are very much like sounds. They're just quieter, right? They're like quieter than the sounds we hear on the outside, right? So fine, the motorcycle goes past or the truck goes past. It's equivalent. So there's this equivalent in meditation, this equivalency of all thoughts. That's our posture. And in fact, equivalency of all experienced phenomena. Maybe the feeling of fear does come up. Okay, that's a feeling. Maybe the feeling of your knee creaking comes up. That also is a feeling. Maybe the feeling of some hunger comes up. Okay, fine, you're going to eat afterward. So for now, you can treat all of these phenomena as equivalent. They're all just blips on the radar of awareness, and what we're doing is settling back into the radar screen, which is non-phenomenal, the non-phenomenal open space within which we welcome, okay, thank you, blips, all come and go. You're all there. If I'm aware of a fear or aware of these thoughts, great, that's an alarm clock reminding me that I'm aware. Thank you. I'm just going to settle back into this awareness.
Yeah, that really clears it up because I was classifying the good thoughts, the helpful ones, with the
Right.
ones that
Yeah.
were not helpful. Creative ideas are helpful. Fear is not helpful. And I was like sifting.
Right, right. Now, there is this other thing. Thank you for reminding me. That was part of your question of, wait, this is something I can use. Right? This happens to me. So again, when I'm on a writing project, oh, I got to write that down.
Right.
Okay. Okay. First thing to know about that is that it's very, very common, and this is especially a phenomenon that's like very common when people go on retreat, when they're meditating for hours and hours a day. Which generally, by the way, y'all, we don't do that at home. You need adult supervision for that,
Yeah.
and it's very beneficial, but you don't do it on your own usually. So but this also can happen in meditation at home, that something comes up that, oh, it's this brilliant creative idea. And it's either how to write that paragraph you've been struggling with, or how to put the brushstroke on the painting, or it may be this thing about your life, your personal situation, your business situation, all that. It's very, very important when you come out and you remember that thought, if you even remember it, take a good look at it in the cold, hard glare of daylight, because see what happens is because the thought comes when we're settled down into these deep, profound levels of our awareness, it can feel very profound,
Yeah.
right? And in fact, it may be. Sometimes really great stuff comes from there, but a whole lot of the time it feels great, it feels profound. You come out and you go, what?
Yeah.
This is famous from this. This became a well-known cultural phenomenon in the '60s when a lot of people would ingest various substances and feel, okay, oh man, I'm there now, and they write this poet. I mean, I did this, wrote this. Oh man, this is the poem that's going to change the world. And next day, look at it. What is this gibberish?
Yeah.
Right. So be aware, and that's why in retreats where you get so profoundly settled down, it's the standard instruction: don't make any life decisions during the retreat. And there are numerous hilarious stories about people, sometimes hilariously painful stories about people not following that advice. I did that once. I was on a, God, what was it, 3 month long retreat, in the middle of which I decided I should propose marriage to this girl. And before the days of cell phones, I found the one phone booth, available, and, made the call. And then a couple of days later, and she said yes. And a couple of days later, I went, what did I do? And I had to call her back. And by then, her mother had called the rabbi, and the mother's
Wheels were
ex-husband had
rolling.
sent over a bottle of wine as a peace offering because they were going to have to start planning a wedding. Oh my God, it was a disaster. So, so we don't act on those thoughts. My late first wife used to help run these retreats for this Buddhist group that we were connected with at the time, and part of her job was she would always run the meeting for the newbies the first night, people on their first retreat. And her standard line, she would say to them, "Okay, look at the person on your left, look at the person on your right. Just know that sometime during this month, one of those people you'll decide you're madly in love with, and the other one you'll decide is breathing too loud."
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. It's a great question.
Thanks.
Good. Anything else today? Actually, it's about time for us to go. Um, I like to respect the clock, and people have to get off to other things. So generally, our standard time for doing this has been about an hour and a half. It seems to work well. So thank you everyone for showing up to our new time. Again, please do feel free to share this if you've got other friends in your time zone or wherever that this might be, might work for their lives. Bring them back, and I'm kind of doing this time as an experiment. I wasn't sure, if people would show up today, but so it's just great to see you all. So as long as you all keep showing up, we'll keep doing this. Okay, so I generally like to end with the thought. In many traditions, they say it's very important when you've had a practice session, you've had an opportunity to open up into some deeper experience of beingness and some deeper insight, to then share that, have at least the intention of sharing that with all beings. One way I heard it explained once, it's like, okay, you've gotten your precious little cup of enlightenment in that session, but then it can evaporate. The danger is it's going to evaporate. But if you pour that cup into the ocean, then it doesn't evaporate, and you get to share it, on that global level. So may all beings swiftly realize the great ease of the every moment accessibility of relaxing back into themselves, where the happiness they've been seeking all along has always been there. And thus may peace and harmony spontaneously come to permeate the world. And the traditional Sanskrit for that wish, and if you know this, feel free to sing along. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica, for pushing me to do this, to do the Fridays.
Thank you,
Yay
Dan.
for Friday.
Good job.
Thanks.
TGIF. Okay. Okay.
That was awesome. Thanks.
Good.
Yeah,
You
great.
bet.
Good
Good.
meeting.
Enjoy being.
See you next